But let me get into the show. Look, why trust matters. Why trust matters. And as I was saying earlier, the conceptually, it's it's important for people to understand and comprehend why trust matters. So I want you to understand, and the thing of it is, the better that I comprehend and understand a concept or a thing, the more readily and concisely I can describe a thing or concept to someone else, And that's how it is. So the more you understand and comprehend why trust matters, the easier and more simplified expressing that comprehension and that idea to someone else becomes. And of course, we're not talking about any type of statutory trust or, any type of living trust or grantor trust or anything of that nature. But it is important to understand this. So, as basic as I can put it, your life is private. What you do with your life is private. The relationships you have are private. Everything is private. It's private. It's all private. Congress was delegated power and authority to regulate commerce. Commercial activities, interstate commerce, commercial activities between persons, commercial activities between persons within the same state, Federal Reserve notes, congressional authority, constitutional authority, which is federal. So, even if it's you and I in the state, it's a business sale. We're handling business. There's going to be some federal sales tax on there because of that federal jurisdiction. The Congress of the United States was delegated power and authority by the Constitution to regulate commerce, commercial activity, business, which is public. It's not private. Now, you can have private business, but one of the essential measures to ensure that your business stays private is that within your private business contracts or private transactions, you see what I'm saying? That you do not utilize Federal Reserve notes or any public instrumentality or instrument of value. And you use no reference to it. We're doing a contract with gold and silver. Okay, so how much gold? Well, we said the value of $75,000. Well, you just brought, what is a dollar? You mean the U.S. dollar? Yeah. Well, wow. To remain private, you would say, if you want the value of $75,000, that's fine. But do the math. How much gold and silver does $75,000 buy with or acquire? I would say with $75,000. How much can you do? And then say that's how much gold and silver I want. Do not say anything regarding public commercial instruments, and that's what U.S. dollars are. The public commercial instruments, and this is what we need to understand. Now, it's fundamental to understand, and this is why there's a huge thing on SPC, secured party creditor, and people, in the discharge debt and the 1099 and all this stuff that I will not talk about, I will not discuss. And passionately, I have reasons behind that. And I'll just say it right now. I don't like to look backwards. Debt is behind me. I don't care about debt and the servicing, the payments that are required monthly or whatever to service that debt, as long as I'm looking in the future and worried about the present and generating more income. To me, in my capacity as trustee or executive, whatever executive capacity, I'm acting upon or under the authority of some sort of commercial entity. I understand that these are expenses. These are budgeted in. You're going to have expenses when you're participating in commercial activity. There's going to be expenses. People, trying to pay off their house or these things with these. Look. It's all about trust. Because what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to go private. How you going to go private? Well, I'm going to 1099. You go zero the accounts. Okay, you go zero the accounts. Now what are you going to do? Well, now I'm going to put everything. I'm going to go private. Okay, so how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to capture the straw man. Look, man, and that's when I just stopped talking to people. Like, look, you need to go to spcuniversity.com. That's where you need to go. Because fundamentally, the comprehension isn't there. The comprehension is this, that I would like to express. One of the points. And by the way, we got about 3 minutes and a half left in the broadcast. I will stream. I got more to say, man. Seriously. Sorry. Current events is long. Whatever. Something was long. Something happened. But if you want to, catch this whole broadcast live, you got to call in 563-999-3625. That's 563-999-3625. Otherwise, you will be disconnected, and you'll have to check out like the archive episode to catch, everything. But hey, maybe that's cool. But you are private. Look, listen, this is how I can explain it. You were not created. Your physical flesh, your body, you walking around, jumping on a jungle gym, you were not created by any commercial process. You were not created by any commercial transaction. You were not created by any county action. You were not created by any legislative statutory process that happened at your state government level in the 1980s, the 1990s, the 2000s, the 1970s, the 60s, the 50s, whenever you were born, it doesn't matter. There was no legislative core, public, commercial process that was executed or, formulated in order for you to have life. Your life is private. Congress is giving and was delegated power from the Constitution to regulate commerce. And this is what I will say. And this is about it. The function of the birth certificate is to bring your private labor into the commercial marketplace and to allow a lien to be placed on your physical vessel for commercial purposes, including claims or pledges to your future label and claims of commercial liability. That's the through my studies. I would debate anybody who did not agree. If I was like, yo, the function of the birth certificate is to bring your private labor into the commercial marketplace. Do you agree? And they said no. I would sit there for hours and debate them if I had to, especially if they had any type of public following that consisted of people who look like me and talk like me and walk like me and were basically normal. Is what I'm trying to say. Normal people, consider normal. You got weirdness going on in your family. You got that one uncle who's crazy. That's what I consider normal. You know what I'm saying? People like me. If anyone were to debate me, they're like, no, I don't, hey, I don't agree with you, Sodell. That's actually incorrect. And this is the reasons why, I postulate such a, The function of the birth certificate is to bring your private labor into the commercial marketplace. The reason there is no money, one of the functions of not having any true money in the system is to allow for the creations of loans and credit. Why? Because loans in credit, I don't care if it's a mortgage, if it's a credit card, I don't care what it is, man. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. I get passionate about this stuff. Loans in credit create future liability, claims to future labor. How can you truly say, hey man, I'm gonna pay this 30-year mortgage on this property, and not understand that the 30th payment of that mortgage, unless you have the money already set aside, and if you do, why are you getting a mortgage? Why would you pay interest if you don't have to? Unless you have the money already set aside, that second payment, that third, that 30th, that final mortgage payment. You won't have the money. No. How are you going to get it? Well, I'll get it. Get it. You will get it. That is future tense. You're saying something about your future actions. Well, yeah. That's what the mortgage is. So you don't understand that you're creating a liability claim on your future labor. That's what a mortgage is. That's what these credit card contracts are. That's what anything credit or debt-based in this system 100% allows. Now, this is a benefit in a lot of ways. This allows the untouchables, the lower class of this society. This is why the American dream, if you work hard, and but you know, a lot of people think if you work hard, like they think physical labor. And then they get mad because they don't reach the American dream, and in the 30s and 40s and stuff, and then they, have crisis, and it's a problem because your expectations were unrealistic, or your actions to reach those expectations were insufficient. The function of the birth certificate is to bring your private labor into the commercial marketplace. How can you pledge your future private labor? It's through a mortgage. It's through a credit contract. It's through some sort of credit contract or some debt contract. Either way, the company is giving you credit, which puts you in debt. It's a debt contract. Now, whether or not you're actually getting credit from the company or getting credit from the whatever, I'm not here to debate that. What I will say is the company, the credit card company, whether it's Chase, the mortgage company, I don't care who it is, it could be Fannie Mae, I feel can postulate that there is some sort of debt owed for them to convert said credit that you don't know how to convert, that you haven't studied to learn how to convert. You want this 12-step program. You want Yusuf to teach you how to do it, and just show me the documents. Just show me what you did. Send me a scan of what you used that worked so I can copy it. This stuff is weird. If these credits exist with this birth certificate, right? You know what I'm saying? You do not know how to convert them. You do not know how to utilize them. So these mortgage companies, credit card companies, if they are extending you your own credit, at least they know how to extend you your own credit so you can utilize it. So if somebody doesn't pay the interest or fees or something like that, if you can't do it on your own, you got to contract someone to do it for you. And if that's the case, that's what you're doing. You're contracting these mortgage companies to convert your credit. You're contracting these credit card companies to convert your credit. You're contracting with these banks to convert your credit. And is it your credit? I don't know. It's credit of that entity, the individual entity that you claim. And your claim, use, and utilization of this individual entity draws you personally, your private. Remember I said you private? There's no legislative function that can create a human, that can create a living, breathing boy or girl, child of man and woman. But the claim and the utilization of this individual entity what it does is it encumbers your labor. And this labor encumbrance translates plain English to you having to make payments for a specific amount of time until said payments are satisfied. And it encumbers your physical living, breathing body if you don't make those payments. How? Because there are legislative processes and remedies that these companies have. And some of them include not only civil penalties, but criminal penalties and commercial criminal penalties. According to legislation, this commercial legislation that regulates commerce, which you brought yourself into personally from the private because you are utilizing what? The commercialization of your private labor in the marketplace. It's plain and simple. That's why there's jurisdiction in these minimum contacts. You want to know a minimum contact? You getting debt. You're over there getting debt and agreeing to make payments in the future. That's what it is. And you're utilizing this individual entity. Overall, you're utilizing this individual entity to conduct your commercial activities. These activities that will benefit you privately and your family privately. You see the overlap? You see it? You see what I'm saying? This is why trust matters. This overlap, this minimum contact that is created because we don't know how to create a structure that is recognized to do business within the public, and we weren't taught. So we use this birth certificate that allows us to exchange our commercial labor in the public, that allows us to take advantage of debt contracts and credit contracts, which pledges our future labor and allows these public entities to place liens on the individual entity, which has minimum contact attachments. Think of it as feeding tubes attached to your body, your live body. Claws just attached to you from this individual entity that allows your private personal body to be brought into the jurisdiction. Why? Because you owe a debt. You pledged your labor. I don't care if you on the corner holding up a sign, that's laborious. Or if you're at a job, that's laborious. Or if you start a business and start producing a good or service, that's laborious. You pledged your labor that equates to Federal Reserve notes, and that's what you said you would give. And you did it. You did this using this individual entity that brings you under these legislative policies and laws, quote. And that's why I tell trustees, hey, so you know how you get trust, the credit on this trust, on this private contractual business trust? You know how to get credit? Nope. Try it. Good luck. A trust cannot pledge its labor. It can only pledge its assets. And if a trust does not have assets that a public bank or a public lending institution does not recognize, then the trust has no assets. But a trust does not have, the trustees have labor. And if they look at, your short form indenture or your trust abstract, they're going to see that, the trustee's limited liability with regards to trust obligations. So no, it is inherently difficult. I'm not going to say impossible because, you can pledge assets that these lending institutions recognize and receive credit based on the pledging of those assets, which means they encumber those assets. If the trust doesn't pay, they take the assets. Is it gold, silver? Is it a house? It's a boat? Doesn't matter. Whatever they accept and acknowledge that assets, that's what's being pledged. Only a living, breathing man or woman can pledge their labor. And it's, it's one of the most beautiful things they figured out. It's evil genius, this public dance they do. So it's important to separate yourself, your private labor, from this public individual entity, this birth certificate that allows you to exchange your private labor into the commercial marketplace, because you have no other private entity in order to execute that function. You are ignorant to any other way. Well, I could do what it is. I'll do an LLC. Okay, the LLC makes a profit. Who's the owner of the LLC? Me. So where's the money go from the LLC to the owner? To you? Yeah. So what, you got a personal bank account open? Yeah. Did you use your ID to open that? State ID? Yeah. Well, that's an individual account. That's an account of the individual, whether you recognize it or not. That individual is separate from your living, breathing self and is subject to controls not only by the state, but also by federal commercial regulation, which includes Internal Revenue Service reporting and tax obligation. Why? Because it's been created by the state. It's a function. It's a creature of state legislation. And each state signed the Constitution, right? Or a representative of each state. I got to be specific, right? On behalf of their state in their capacity, the binding authority as whatever position they were holding under that state, signed the Constitution. So there's federal authority right there. And the Constitution gives and delegates power and authority to regulate commerce to Congress. This is why trusts matter. You can exchange your labor and expertise through a private trust contract and avoid a lot of that. Most all of it. Now, what you won't avoid is, in most cases, the requirement for the trust to file a trust return. But the requirement to pay taxes is functionally negotiable, I would say, due to the nature of the contract as well as the positive and proper administration of the trust. That's why trust matters. You can be sued. I guess when I say you, I mean the individual. You can be sued. Anything that's titled in the name of that individual, there it is. It's subject to legislative control and authority. Now, anything titled in a private trust contract is not subject to legislative control and authority. It depends on the situation, especially if it was being utilized for private trust purposes, and we, as proper, positive executioners of the contract, I'll say that, claim this fact, we enter a whole different area, or should I say jurisdiction. Functionally. And whether that's understood or not, that is an absolute fact. Anything titled in the name of the state, in the name of the state entity, specifically the individual, is owned by the state, which essentially is the parent company and retains all rights to and interest and title in the property of its creations and its ancillaries. You got probate, death tax, insurance, inheritance tax, generation skipping tax. You have a lot of taxes. You got sales tax. You have income tax. You got use tax. You got a highway tax. Depending on, what your flavor of entertainment or, pleasure is, there may be a tax for that. Some people like cigarettes. There's a tax on tobacco. There's a gas tax. There's a tax on gasoline. There's taxes up and down, left and right. Now, use taxes I don't really trip on, you know. I'm taxed on the use of a bridge, especially if it's for business purposes, you know, like if it's for the company, vehicle that utilizes this bridge in order to bring income into the company. Hey, it is what it is. But, you know, sales tax, right? These different income tax, right? I think that's private. I don't think you should be able to tax the income of a private entity that properly executes its function and contract. But maybe if there's excess, if above and beyond through the, you know, transaction in the public, the trust may have excess is left over. Sure, whatever, and that's true. Trusts are taxable, and don't quote me because I'm not an attorney. I'm not a tax professional. I don't give legal advice, financial advice. I don't give preparation for cake advice. I don't give advice on how to inflate tires. What is the proper pressure? Is it 32 pounds per square inch? Is it 33 pounds? I don't give advice. When income, surplus income, profits income, and the undistributed income specifically at the end of the fiscal year is taxed at 39.6% when it comes to trusts. But why private trust matters is because a complex private trust can disperse or distribute, however you want to, you know, it's typically, you know, disperse 100% of its taxable income to its beneficiaries. And therefore, there's no taxable event. There's nothing left to tax. Hey, you know, these are the expenses and whatever. This was left over after expenses and all payments and stuff. And then what was left over, we dispersed it to the beneficiaries. There's nothing left. What are you going to do? There's nothing left to tax. Only complex trusts can do that. And there's no statutory benefit or privilege for any type of grantor or simple trust to do such a thing. There's a lot of more benefits to private trust and why private trust matters. But fundamentally, it is listen, the utilization of private trust, specifically private business trust, is, in my opinion, the ultimate replacement of the birth certificate because it is a private instrument that is utilized to exchange your labor through in the public. It is the private transmitting utility that is not regulated by any statutory authority versus the individual public structure or entity, the public transmitting utility, the public entity that you use to transmit your energy into the public, or the private transmitting utility or entity that you utilize to transmit or exchange your energy into manifestations of the public, where it's manifestation into Federal Reserve notes, stocks or bonds, however, whatever it is. Would you rather to use a public entity to do this thing now that you know exactly what you're doing, or would you rather a private entity? Would you rather a public entity, the same public entity that you utilize to exchange your energy into the public? Energy. So that includes the debt and credits. So the future payments, future required energy that must be diverted to satisfy these obligations that we made in the past, these mortgage contracts and debt contracts, as well as title, your property, your wealth that you've converted into real estate, into a car, into gold, into silver. Would you want to title that in the same entity that has those future obligations, mortgages, and allow for those valuables to be taken due to the lack of ability to pay those future obligations? That's why private trust matters. That's why there's a family trust and asset trusts. Asset trusts hold family property at arm's length, independent of the structure that's utilized to generate income or to convert your energy, independent of the structure that is utilized to care and provide food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare, and retirement services for the beneficiaries, for the family members. So they're separate, independent, distinct entities that cannot be attached. Property in the asset trust cannot be taken because the business trust could not make its payments or meet its loan obligations. That's not the same with an individual. They can force you to foreclose on your house or short or sell your house because your house is worth $200,000, owe $150,000 to the mortgage company. So there's $50,000 in equity that they want. So you got to sell the house, get $200,000, pay your mortgage company $150,000, and then the other $50,000 you got to give to us, and you're left with nothing. Because 15 years ago, you signed a contract that you would make payments, and we don't care what happened. We don't care what transpired in your life or who you lost or what you lost. You signed this contract to make these payments 15 years ago. That's why private trust matters. Because this commercial system, the way it is set up, is for debts to be created and for debts to be enforced, period. Don't care how you securitize the debt, whether you're securitizing it with labor, you're securitizing it, and if you're securitizing it with labor, that's future payments, or you're securitizing it with assets, stocks or bonds or gold or whatever. That's what it is. And the name of the game is to pull more value out of the public than you put in it. And there are structures in the public created just for that function, from McDonald's to mortgage companies. And if you sign a mortgage note for $200,000, for $150,000, let's say you sign a mortgage note for $150,000, and there's a company that's created that'll buy that note at a discount and then accept the payments. Which means up front they paid, maybe if your note's $150,000, they paid $100,000 for that note. Which means they stand to make 50 G's over the life of 30 years. Now, they also stand to make money off of late payments, and they also stand to be able to foreclose on the property and hit you with fees and all this other stuff so they can, say that basically we don't owe you any money after we take this property. Because, yeah, there's equity, but, there was this fee and that fee and this fee and that fee and then lawyer fees and these fees. So, left after that, all days accounting for all these fees, there's nothing left over to disperse to you. Goodbye. And what does that do? Ultimately, that creates more value for that company, and there's private shareholders of that company who are extracting wealth out of the public for their family. It's commercial war. You have to understand what's going on. You have to understand what weapons you're using or entities or structures you're utilizing in this commercial warfare marketplace. Understand what's at stake and understand why private trust matters. I think it's absolutely, it's at 100% important, to have as full of a picture and understanding and comprehension of what we're dealing with as possible. And in order to do that, I think part of it is, Me speaking on the things that I know and the way that I look at things and the things that I comprehend and understand, and relaying that in the manner in which I'm able to do to you, to the audience, to those who have ears to hear. I'm probably, you can't see me, but if you have ears to hear. And that's what, as So L, that's what I'm looking to do here at the foundation. That's the purpose of the expression of my labor through the foundation here on High Frequency Radio Network. And, if you're interested, in knowing more about trust, I invite you to check out welcometothefoundation.com, peruse that at your leisure. You can also book a consultation. You can email me, admin@welcometothefoundation.com, or you can go to welcometothefoundation.com website and book a consultation right there. And then we'll get you sorted. Also, sign up for the email list. We got some exclusive deals coming to email subscribers only, probably in the next week or so. I would say that, be honestly. So if you're interested, check that out. Also, if you want to start a business, you want to get it properly, set up, properly erected, properly classified on the business, on the state and federal level, your business, bank accounts, setting up business credit, and, the necessary functions from, the first, I guess, bank credit card to how to get your business hands on its first, corporate address. I can help you with all that. So, set up a consultation. Also, trustee training. We do that every Sunday. Trustees heavy in training. And that training includes, asset trust, business trust, and family trust. If you're interested in trustee training, we're about to start a brand new session here really quick. So it's a perfect time to jump into trustee training. If you are on the fence, you can email me, admin@welcometothefoundation.com. You can also email the secretary at welcometothefoundation.com. And honestly, these days, I'm not even going to lie, you'll probably get a faster response from the secretary. She's going to be faster than me. I'm just going to tell you. And, there's transitions, there's things happening here at the foundation, things changing, because change is always constant, but change can be good. But, there's definitely things, going to be changing here at the foundation. And, I will inform you in due course. But, that's the show, why private trusts matter. Why? Why does private trust matter? Well, hopefully, I've broken down the core functions of, the commercial marketplace. I've broken down the core power and delegation of authority of Congress with regards to its regulation of commerce. And I've broken down the core function of an entity, whether it's the birth certificate or it's articles of organization for an LLC, articles of incorporation for a corporation, whether it's a trust indenture, a trust abstract, a public trust indenture, or a private trust. They're all entities, transmitting utilities that we use to exchange our energy in the public marketplace. I'm going to give you this energy. Hey, I work for you, or, I'll put up, my company, quote, will put up your drywall. That's labor exchange. That's labor exchange. It's labor exchange for what? For currency notes. And then what do we do with the currency notes? Acquire assets. Of course, we have to pay expenses. Expenses are also food, clothing, shelter. These are expenses, as well as the expenses of running the business. And with the profits of that, after all that, acquire assets. Why? Because that's the name of the game. You want to pull more out of the public than you put in. That's what everybody's doing who understands this game. Those who do not understand this game, they are pulling more into the public than they're pulling out. And that's why you're unhappy with your job. That's why the price increases really bother you, because it's taking more money from you. That's why you may be unhappy with your career path. That's why you may be unhappy with your finances. That's why you may be unhappy just in general with your overall results of your interface with the public for the past however many years, since you got out of college, since you started, since you got your GED, since you started exchanging that energy into the public. That's why. That's why. Because there's fundamentally, and I would say on a subconscious level for most of us, we know that what we're putting in at the job does not equal the checks we get. We don't understand where to put that energy, that anger, that frustration. It's not the job's fault. It's not the boss's fault. Why? It's because we don't understand the fundamental functions and procedures of commerce. What is actually happening? What are we actually doing? What is the purpose? Why are companies willing to hire me and give me money? At least some of the inner workings of this, so I can utilize that knowledge to create a better result for myself and my family. That's why trust matters. You want to experience something different, you have to do something different. And I love you. I can't do anything for you, but I can do my best to express what I feel is necessary in order for you to do these things for yourself, to begin. Which is really the biggest issue for most people, is most people are just so afraid to begin. So afraid to take the leap. So afraid to be exposed. So afraid to let go of what you kind of like so you can grab what you love, because you don't want to lose what you kind of like. Some people won't even let go of what they don't like so they can grab a hold of what they love. Why? It's the fear of the in-between. It's the fear of that moment of after I let go and right before I grab the new thing. It's scary for a lot of people. But most of us, if we know it and we understand the thing, we can educate ourselves and take action against a thing or take actions to avoid a thing. And that's hopefully what I'm helping y'all do. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all learned something from the show. I hope your perspective was broadened, expanded. Maybe you look at things a little different. You understand why trust matters, and you're willing to invest in yourself, in your education, all the hours that you've given the job, all the hours you've given the company or the companies for the benefit of the company, for the purpose of generating income for the shareholders or the owners or whatever. This purpose outside of yourself and your nature, beyond the fact that you were exchanging your labor for Federal Reserve notes, trying to live, trying to be better, trying to do something. All of that energy, all those hours and minutes that you've done, that you've given, invested, if you want to say. But it was a poor investment. The best investment is investing in yourself, investing in your education, your private education. And then acting and functioning with that investment, that proper investment that can't be taken away from you. You can't get fired. Your knowledge can't fire you. Wake up one morning and in your mind you hear, you know what? And you're like, what's up, knowledge? You're fired. And then knowledge just jump out your head. Understanding core functions of systems, specifically the commercial system and the entities and structures that are utilized within that system is paramount. Understanding what other entities are allowed within that system that the system did not create, such as private contract trust, is also important. So I hope you understand a little bit better why trust matters. I'm not going to take any calls this evening. I know I usually don't. I got emails. So, you don't take calls anymore. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I love y'all, though. But I have to be honest. The only thing that is constant is change. And, things are changing for me. So, my availability has changed. The things that I'm able to do has changed. The time that I'm able to devote to the foundation, honestly, has changed. And, things will continue to change. And I'm not trying to threaten anyone. What I am saying is, nothing stays the same. All things change. Nothing remains constant. And some opportunities that are available to you today will not be available to you tomorrow. And it is important sometimes to know when to jump or pounce on an opportunity. It's also important sometimes to know when to overextend yourself for an opportunity and when not to overextend yourself, if you know what I mean. I'll say financially and, energetically. How about that? Yeah, I'll be there at 9 o'clock, but, you stay up until 4 o'clock. And you won't be sleeping at 9 o'clock. So you know what it is. But I just want you to have more information so you can make a better decision. I just want you to correctly apply the correct information so you can have a proper benefit. Because I believe it or not, I receive joy from your from the positive enhancement, or from me witnessing the positive enhancements in your life due to the implementation of this information. So, consultations, admin at welcometothefoundation.com, trustee training, admin at welcometothefoundation.com, foundation. And, it is what it is. I love y'all, man. I really do. Get prepared. Inflation, these prices are going to continue to go up. So think about that when you're buying that product. Maybe buy 2 bottles of that barbecue sauce because in 5 months it's not going to be the same price. And even if you only use 1 bottle every 5 months, if you wait 5 months and go get that other bottle, you will have missed the opportunity to pay less for that same product. Don't go crazy. Think about energy. Think about water. And think about food. And maybe not necessarily, there is no food, but such an example, they're saying watch out for attacks, hacks, and stuff like that. Payment, have you thought about that? Payment processing system. Well, I got cash. No, sir, not my credit card system. The entire payment processing system. Like the registers will not open. They won't respond. They won't accept cash or credit. It's potential. It's a possibility. So a little bit of preparation goes a long way. Moderation in all things. Do not go overboard. But I love y'all. So do your dance. With that being said, y'all have a great evening. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Make sure you check out welcometothefoundation.com because, I think it's just a glorious, luxurious site. Nevertheless, sign up for the email list. We got that exclusive email subscriber. Will I call it an event? Yeah, we can call it an event. That'll be popping. So you want to be signed up for the email list. But, my name is Sot L. This has been the foundation here on High Frequency Radio Network. It has been a pleasure as always. I trust that you will be well. I trust that you will have a luxurious day today and tomorrow and everything in the future. You know what I mean? Just living your best life takes work. I think that's not what's said. I'm living my best life, and it took work. That should have been the song. I'm living my best life. And it took work. I'm living my best life. You know what I'm saying? And it took work. That should have been the song. So people know it ain't easy. Sometimes it's a little more simple, but it's not too easy. But getting up and going to work every day ain't easy either. You know what I'm saying? So hey, you can make a choice. Let's put it into perspective. I love you very much, y'all. Have a great week. As I say, enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Make sure you Make sure you say 10 things that you're thankful for before you go to sleep tonight and every night. That is important. Let's focus on what we love, not what we don't. What we focus on, we give life. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah. My name is Sot L for the Foundation on High Frequency Radio Network. Peace to the God.
High Frequency Radio.